Alright, so it's all said and done. Season 4 of Castlevania, the end of Castlevania, is in the books. And apparently there's going to be a spin-off series or something like that. They're going to do more Castlevania. It was such a big hit for Netflix. Probably their biggest hit as far as like their original animation goes. And Season 4 was a great send-off for the series. Now, before I get into the review and my breakdown and my personal thoughts about it, make sure to follow me up here at Kaufman20XX on Twitter and Instagram. Also, be sure to throw a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell so you know when I got stuff coming live. So let's get right into it. Castlevania Season 4, I thought was a great pickup. And it gives you the breakdown, right? It gives you like this whole what's been going on the past 6 weeks, right? With all the characters, Alucard and Trevor and Sypha. We finally got Trevor fighting skeleton warriors. We got Sypha wiping out a necromancer, and we got Fleaman. I went on Twitter, I was like, we got fucking Fleaman. Alright. So right off the bat, they're giving fans of the series creatures and things that they're familiar with that we should have been seeing, you know, but it makes more sense that we're seeing it now because the evils kind of permeated the land, right? But it does this weird thing where Season 3 left Alucard in a weird spot. It left Trevor and Sypha in a very dark spot, and it even revisits that at the beginning of Season 4, the final season. But then it's like everything's okay. Like, all of a sudden Alucard's moved by this guy who rode on horseback all this way, and he goes to help these people. It falls for the woman who's heading up the defense of the village. And then you go back to Trevor and Sypha, who they were in a dark place at the end of Season 3. Oh, that was horrible. Like, what happened at the end of Season 3, the revelation at the end of Season 3 was horrible. And it broke Sypha, and Trevor was like back in the gutter. And that's where we left him. Now they're exchanging barbs, and she's talking about like, I am now a person who says shit. I say shit all the time. I'm like, oh God, just kill me. You know what? Just kill me. But y'all know how I feel about, you know, she's a speaker. Her character, that's not supposed to be her character, right? So anyway, I won't get into that. But and they're exchanging barbs, they're being jokey and stuff. It's like they're not that dark place they were. We need to see why they're not there anymore. We need to see why they're not that dark place anymore. It's almost like the people writing it, and Warren Ellis, you know, how I feel about he's a good storyteller, but his dialogue, man, you know. And I'm fine with cussing. I'm super fine with cussing if it serves the story, it serves the characters. But every character, really? Even Alucard should not be written with that dialogue. Alucard should feel like regal and important, not like Trevor Belmont, you know, basically. But anyway, I digress. But Season 4 was good. Now we're going to talk about story characters. We already started talking about characters. We're going to talk about story. We're going to talk about art and music. The story, it's all these people are trying to resurrect Dracula. I'm like, finally, we're getting the resurrection of Dracula. They're doing it. We're moving forward with it. The whole thing with the Infinite Corridor at Saint Germain, I wasn't really sure exactly how he was going to fit in, but he was so good in Season 3, you couldn't not bring him back for Season 4. He was the best character in Season 3. The best written, the funnest character. His dialogue was great. And his dialogue, the way the language he uses, makes sense for that character. Because he has traveled, he's seen so much stuff, he's just so aggravated and done with regular people, you know. It makes sense for him, and I loved the dialogue when he would drop the fucks and the shits and all this other kind of stuff. It made sense for that character. It made total sense, and I loved it. I thought he was so fun. But the story comes off as a little disjointed in places, like, and they had to work in getting Trevor and Sypha back with Alucard, back in Castlevania. And I was really hoping that in Season 4, the show would honor its name. Castlevania, the castle itself is a character. The castle itself is a living, breathing thing. It's evil. It's not a place where refugees can come and live there or whatever. You can't purify it. When Dracula dies, it goes back to hell. So, but in the series, they just make it just like just a big mechanical fortress. You know, they can move and transport around through alchemy and all this other stuff, which that's fine. But I was really hoping in season 4 with the resurrection of Dracula, because, you know, Dracula draws power from Castlevania, you know. I was hoping they would go into that. They didn't go into any of that. They do kind of go into it somewhat for the reason that, or they showed us that the resurrection of Count Dracula had to happen where he was put down there at Castlevania. And the little markers that the people in the Priory in season 3 used to open the portal to hell, they use the same markers inside of Castlevania when Saint Germain was setting it up. So they did kind of go into that, but if you don't understand the lore of Castlevania and the importance of Castlevania itself, the demon castle Dracula, if you don't understand that importance, you don't really get why that's happening, right? The castle is important in being a wellspring of Dracula's power, basically. So, and by the way, this is gonna be a spoiler review, so I'll put it on the thumbnail and in the description, so you all can be warned on that. Yeah, so the resurrection of Dracula, not really drawing on Castlevania too much, I thought was fine. That plot was fine. I thought the whole thing about them going back to Targovishta, Trevor and Sypha, and all the stuff going on there with the crazy girl and her trying to protect the dead king and dead queen, you know, with all the people underground. I thought that was a little disjointed. Right? I thought Trevor and Sypha could have been doing something better. It wound up, you know, they wound up finding one of the enchanted mirrors. But probably the coolest thing for me that happened in this whole area of the story was he finds the cross. He finds the boomerang cross, which I thought was dope. What a great little attention to detail. There were lots of little Easter eggs, and I'm going to do a video breaking down the Easter eggs that I saw in this season. And I'm going to go back and really listen for music really hard to see if I pick anything out. I don't think there was anything there, but there were a lot of Symphony of the Night Easter eggs, or a lot of other little Easter eggs. But at this point in particular of the story, Trevor finds more holy water, because they used kind of like holy water in season 1? Yeah, season 1. And he finds the cross, and he finds different uses for the cross. And not only that, but they did like a take on the throwing daggers, you know, the dagger he finds and he puts the thing in it. They did like a little take on that. So I thought that was pretty cool as far as Easter eggs. But you can't put fucking Grant in there, but we can shoehorn all these other characters that don't exist in, and we can find a place for the throwing cross. Awesome. The character Varney of London, he was really funny. I thought they knocked it out of the park with that character, because the more he goes on, the more you're like, nobody cares, nobody takes this guy seriously. Even his comrade and other people, they don't even take this guy seriously. They don't even care. I'm Varney of London. And like, everyone's like, nobody cares, man. You know. I thought that was cool. The whole thing with Isaac and Hector, I thought was the most well done part of the entire series, and I think it's also the best part of season 4. Hector and Isaac, and that's different from Curse of Darkness, right? The way they came to the resolution, but Isaac and Hector are different than their counterparts in Curse of Darkness anyway. Hector's more of a stand-up guy. Of course, it takes place, Curse of Darkness would take place after all of this, but I thought Hector was a little less than his character in Curse of Darkness. I thought Isaac was great in this. He's not the pale redhead Euro fetish dressed looking dude, like he's like some Euro rock band with the leather pants and no shirt or whatever. So they changed his design. I thought it was a change for the better, because I took him more seriously. The whole like monk-like demeanor of Isaac and his growth as a character was the best growth of any character in this series from start to finish. Like his little sit-down conversations with his night creatures, especially the creepy fly-looking dude, you know? The sit-down conversations with his night creatures explaining his mentality. And like they'd say, "Can I ask a question?" He's like, "Of course you can. You know, you can ask anything. We're here to, we're here to learn." That's basically what the idea you got from him. And then it all came to a head when he told Hector, he's like, I'm not here to kill you, man. You know, and they had this understanding as former comrades who have both changed, who have both gone through a different journey. You could have just given me a series with Hector and Isaac, as well as those two characters were written. And the journey that they went on, I thought that was amazing. Killer. Knocked it out of the park. And then, of course, Isaac's battle with Carmilla was dope. I liked Carmilla as a character, but I felt like she never hit the ceiling that she could have hit as far as being a character. I always thought she was just kind of flat. Like, I hate old men and I want to run the world because they don't know what they're doing, and I never saw any more from her. Alright, so let's talk about the Council of Sisters. I thought their introduction to Season 3 was actually pretty good. I was curious about where they were going to go. I was more curious than any of them about Striga. I wanted to see what they did with her. I thought they could have some really cool set pieces, battle sequences with her. She was built to just be like this brick shithouse of a commander, right? Just go in and just annihilate people on the battlefield. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see her fighting other vampires, just annihilating other like night creatures and vampires and stuff. But in Season 4, I felt like they kind of dropped the ball with the Council of Sisters. Of course, you had Lenore, who was still tangled up with Hector in that storyline, but she's a diplomat, and Carmilla is like after world domination now. Lenore's conflicted about what to do. Lenore is, I'm going to go ahead and say this, Lenore is the best of these four characters. She's the best written, the most complex, and multi-layered of all four of these characters. Carmilla just wound up just kind of staying baseline the whole time. Like, she was just crazy, power hungry, and kind of disappointing. Like, they didn't do a whole lot with her, you know? She had the dope set piece, like the battle scene with Isaac. That was incredible. That battle between her and Isaac and his night creatures, that was incredible. It showed how powerful she was. It showed what she could do. And basically, she offed herself. She killed herself. You know, he didn't get to have the killing blow on her, but that's not the kind of thing that Isaac's character at this point cares about. He got the end result that he was after. So let's talk about Striga and Marana. I thought of the four vampire sisters that those two could be the most compelling characters, and they've wound up doing the least, really. They did change. I think their story arc was really about change. Changing your perspective, changing your worldview. And that I think was supposed to be what they represented in the story. And they did have the killer set piece, right, with Striga, and she had the Daywalker armor on, and she went out and killed all those like farmers and villagers and stuff. And that was an homage, that had to be an homage to the 100-man battle from Berserk, right? The slaying of 100 men. The difference between those two scenes, though, is that Guts it hits different in Berserk, and here's why. Guts is fighting a hopeless battle. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's thematic stuff. Set pieces, action set pieces, are hit harder when they're story and narrative driven. So, the Berserk Battle of 100 Men, or mercenaries, whatever you want to call it, Guts was up against 100 people trained just as well, if not better than him. But he is more well equipped because he's just a monster. He's just a bastard of a killer. You know, he's just a machine. And it's at night, it's in the woods, and he's covering so the Casca can escape. You know, he's doing it for a purpose. And even the Daywalker armor and his Berserker armor, not from that scene, but later on when he's got fighting the apostles and stuff, their armor looks very similar from the two shows. But in Castlevania, Striga is just like, alright, You know, these farmers are out here. They're figured out what they're fighting against. They're opening up. They're going to burn us. They're going to try to kill us all. I'm going to go out here and defend us. So in that respect, they were kind of the same, right? But she goes out and she starts murdering all these farmers, just armed with picks and farming equipment and all this other kind of stuff. And even after the battle, she's like, that was kind of pointless, you know? So I love the homage there. I love the nod to that. I thought that was really good. And at the end of the day, they were just like, you know, let's just go off and do our own thing. Well, let's go report back to Styria. Let's go talk to Carmilla. They didn't do enough. I felt like those two had the potential because of their relationship. You know, they were going to be, no matter what happened, they were going to be in it together. So they were like a tag team, right? Whatever happened, they were going to tag team it. I thought maybe they could do something with those two where they tried to take Carmilla down, because it was obvious Carmilla was just going to go crazy. Even by the end of season 3, she was just going to go off the rails, right? I thought they might do a thing where they might try to take out Carmilla, take control of Styria or something like that. But they didn't go that route. They just, you know, they went off and did their own thing, which is fine, because those characters did grow. They just didn't hit the ceiling I thought they could hit story-wise. But then Lenore, the best character of the 4. She's really the best character of the 4. She has the most growth. She goes from plotting and scheming to the point where there's no more plotting and scheming to be done, right? There's no more plotting and scheming to be done because she's kind of left out. And then Hector kind of becomes the alpha of that little relationship they had going on, because even though he was beholden to them because of that ring and he was making the night creatures for them, she was kind of seeking his counsel and just talking to him, and he was giving her advice like, hey, this is what I think, take it or leave it, you know, basically. And that was his attitude, and they had some playful banter with each other, some sexual humor with each other, so I thought that was kind of cute. But their relationship was really good. And at the end of that, when she's like, I just want to see what the sun looks like, I want to see what all the fuss is about this sunrise, I want to go see it. And Hector let her. He didn't fight with her, he didn't try to get her to try and stay. He understood that she didn't want to be around anymore. I thought that was beautiful. It was the best written part of season 4. I thought that was amazing. Their storyline through season 3 and season 4 was one of the best parts of the series. Kudos to the team and everybody, editors, writers, everybody who had a hand in that. That was the best part of season 3 and season 4. One of the best parts of season 3 and season 4. But let's get back over to Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard. Alucard, and now I'm about to have my Grant rant. I'm about to go on my Grant rant. So, Alucard finds himself at this village called Danasty. How, I forget exactly how they pronounced it, but it's Grant's last name. So it's like, whoa, we threw an Easter egg in there for Grant. No, you didn't. I was thinking the whole time, okay, it's the last few episodes. We're going to get Grant. He's going to be one of the people in this village. He's going to be helping her, you know, safeguard this village. He's going to be like a former pirate. And my brain already started formulating all these story ideas. Nope. Let's shoehorn in all of these other characters. Let's shoehorn in all these characters that don't even exist. Let's not even put Grant in the fucking show. Come on, man. Like, you gotta know people are gonna figure that out. You gotta know that people are not gonna be happy about that. It didn't take away from the show, but it kept the show from being what it could be, a complete Castlevania 3 story. It kept it from being complete. I'm sorry, it did. It kept it from being complete because the people that are going to watch this show, mainly, that are going to be waiting at midnight for this to come out, are people who love Castlevania. And they're going to know that people are savvy. They're going to know about the lore. They're going to know the characters. Look, these companies need to start understanding how savvy fans are, especially if you pick a franchise, a legendary franchise like Castlevania. You got to get that right. Now, they did get more right than they got wrong. I'm not saying that, but you got to get that right. I mean, come on. You know, Grant, one of the funnest characters, one of the first character you get, depending on which path you go on in Castlevania 3, one of the funnest. He can climb walls. He can do all this. He can throw knives and climb walls. I mean, he's one of the funnest characters to use. I don't want to write him. I'm just going to write everybody else to talk like a pirate, and I'm not going to use the actual fucking pirate. How much sense does that make? Anyway, so Alucard finds this village, and you know what they did with his storyline, him evolving into a protector, into a guardian. I thought that was a good story. Trevor and Sypha, what they were doing just kind of felt needless and unnecessary. And then, but you got some funny little bits with Varney of London and the brick shithouse vampire Russian military guy that he was palling around, chumming around with. And then they jump through the mirror and they go to Castlevania, and more wackiness ensues. So let's talk about Saint Germain now. He's in the Infinite Corridor, shows what happened to him. And they did this whole jumping back and forth thematically in time thing, right? 6 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week, yesterday, whatever. And they did that for each like character. Saint Germain got the treatment. And then you go into, he's in the Infinite Corridor, and you see this witch who's talking to him. And instantly I'm watching it and I go, that's death. That's death. It doesn't look like Zed, because you can't make it look like Zed now from Curse of Darkness, because they already used that that tip of the hat character design there. Now, there were a ton of Easter eggs in here. I'm not going to get into all of them in this video. I might make an Easter egg video, but one of the Easter eggs I really dug and I actually clapped and cheered for at like 2:30 in the morning was when they used Saint Germain, when it showed him like introducing himself to all these like royals and stuff like that. He had his Curse of Darkness top hat and red jacket and everything on. I clapped and cheered. I was like, they used it. Oh man, it looks so great. It looks so great in the anime. Anyway, good job to you guys for using that. That was a great job. But anyways, in the Infinite Corridor, he's talking to this witch who's obviously Death, because you know Death's coming from the preview trailer. It's obviously Death talking to Trevor there at the end of the trailer. So I was like, okay, this is how they're gonna write in Death. So the whole plot to bring back Dracula inside of this weird body where they're going to put Lisa and Dracula fused together in there. I thought that was just so whack. I was just like, look, man, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Dracula comes back. He's resurrected by his acolytes every 100 years. You're going to resurrect him here. You're gonna do it just like months after he was killed. Whatever. You don't need to do all this, him and Lisa in the same body, and this is going to be, he's going to be hell-bent on destruction because he's going to be so crazy, he's going to be trapped in there, Lisa. You don't need to do that. That's unnecessary. It's Dracula. He's evil. That's it. The problem they ran into thematically was Dracula had been written as a sympathetic villain, which is good. He is a sympathetic villain, but you do it in a way where he does shit that's so horrible, like with all the shock art they did with kids being cut in half in the middle of the street and all this other kind of shit. He's responsible for that. He's got to go. I don't care if he does love his wife and she's in hell. You got to send him packing to go meet her. That's it. But that whole storyline was a little convoluted. But at the end of the day, the things that needed to happen happened. Death reveals himself, and by the way, we're talking about nods in Castlevania. How about the nod to Bleach? How about the nod to Baragon with this design? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look, yeah. Somebody watching Bleach over there. I've told you all before, hey, Bleach don't get the love it deserves. People, they pull from Bleach a lot. I've seen Bleach pulled from more in shows than a lot of your popular anime gets pulled from, and that's no joke. So, shout out to Tite Kubo, however the hell you say it. Anyway, Death reveals himself. I thought this was a pretty cool reveal because I kind of saw it coming anyway. Like when she popped up, when everything was going down at the end of it, I was like, oh shit, here comes Death. My only problem is I wish Death had been a more tangible, because he's the villain of Season 4. Death is the villain of Season 4. They touch on him early, the statue, the people making a shrine to him and stuff. I wanted him to have a tangible presence in season 4, like Zed does in Castlevania Curse of Darkness. Zed manipulates things. He manipulates the characters, he manipulates Hector, he manipulates all these other people into working toward the resurrection of Dracula. I felt like that was an easy thing to do thematically, story-wise. It was an easy thing to do, and they just didn't do it for whatever reason. You know, I don't know. I felt like they took some left turns and made things more complicated than they needed to in the 4th season. And at the end of the day, it came to the right place. It all wound up on the right road, but we took a longer time to get there than we needed to, and all that extra convoluted stuff, you could have been packing in more good, wholesome content to the story, like stuff that made sense, stuff that would build the characters, stuff that would evolve the characters, instead of just like random quests and random quests. I felt like the characters in Castlevania went on like a lot of random fetch quests in season 3 and season 4. Which season 3, I said, you know, as I said in my previous review, I thought was good. Season 4, it felt like there was a lot of just kind of almost filler scenes. I don't know, but that was just my take on it. I felt like they could have streamlined things more and left more of an impact. So at the end, when Trevor is fighting death, I thought that was really well done. Because he's beat up, he's basically losing use of his body. His body's getting so beat up to the point, and they told you throughout season 4, he's like, I'm just tired, I need to rest. We've been fighting so much, I need to rest. I really need to regain my strength. Him and Sypha have been fighting non-stop against night creatures and going from place to place and helping people and slaughtering night creatures. And so at the end, he's literally fighting death. I thought that was pretty poetic. I thought that was pretty artistic, I'm not gonna lie. He's physically fighting death. He's fighting off death. And he's protecting Sypha and Alucard. Like, he doesn't want them anywhere near this battle. He doesn't want them anywhere near this battle. He wants to do this himself. And I thought that was fantastic. Fantastic. And they leave you there at the end after that battle with the death of Trevor. And death himself is gone, you know. And then you fast forward and everything's kind of getting back to normal. The night creatures are pretty much gone. The influence of evil over the land is gone. Death has been dealt with. And, you know, Sypha and Alucard, and they have this moment where she's like, I'm definitely with child. I need to go be with my people. And he's like, look, you can stay here. We'll help take care of you and help you raise the child. I thought that was great. That was incredible. And you had the loss of Trevor. You could have faded the black and rolled credits right there, and it would have been a perfect ending. I would have felt the show at that point. I would have been like, oh man, I can't wait to see more. I can't wait to see what's up with Simon, because Simon is Trevor and Sypha's grandson. I think grandson or great-grandson. It's one of the two. It's definitely not their son like it was in Lords of Shadow. Of course, they could do that. Simon is their son. They could do that, and it'd be fine, you know. But they could have, if they had ended it right there and rolled credits, I would have felt that, because that had me in an emotional spot. I was in an emotional spot right there. I was like, that was really well done. What a great way to end the show. What a fantastic way to end the show. But then here comes somebody on horseback. Trevor survived. You know, Saint Germain opened the infinite corridor before he died, and he sent Trevor through it at the last second. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it, but I don't know how I feel about it, because I felt like I was robbed of an emotional moment for a series that prides itself on being like, look, we're making an animation, and they say fucking shit and all this other stuff, and we got half-dead babies in the street and decapitated kids in the street and eyeballs hanging out and everything. Look at how risky we are. Look at how risque we are. But then they don't take the risk when it matters. That other stuff doesn't matter. That's all superficial. That's all paint on a wall. when it mattered to take the risk, they didn't pull the trigger. And I'm fine. I'm fine with Trevor surviving. I'm fine with Trevor making it and all that kind of... I think it's cool. I like Trevor. I like Richard Armitage. I would love to see him come back and play that character in some kind of spin-off or whatever. But for a series that prides itself on being so risque, and like what I said with all the... motherfuck, and dead babies in the street and all this other kind of stuff, it didn't pull the trigger when it matters most in a story. And so I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that ending. And then you had the whole convoluted thing at the end with Dracula and Lisa roaming the planet. And I was afraid they were going there. I was afraid they were trying to make Dracula like this sympathetic villain, which he is sympathetic, but he's a villain. They were going to try to redeem Dracula and all this other kind of stuff. And after all the horrible things he did, well, it's okay now. I've got my lady back. It's okay now. Well, you can't bring back those thousands of people that were killed by you and your horde. You know, you ransacked Europe. You know, that doesn't change that. So, you know, they burned their credit cards, thrown their cell phones away, and they're living on the lam now. And, you know, we can't tell anybody who we are. Like, when it showed them checking into that inn, and one hand was like obviously like a smaller person, the other hand had the claws on it, I was like, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're not doing this, are they? It's interesting. And again, I don't dislike it. I don't know how to feel about it. It's interesting because, you know, it leaves it open. Like, well, so what if Lisa gets killed again? Is he going to become evil Dracula again? I mean, what? What? And I'm not saying what in like a, oh, they got me, what great storytelling way. It was like what in kind of like a, what? You know, kind of way. Is I don't know how to feel about it. But as always, the art in season 4 was amazing. The animation looked great, especially the action set pieces were phenomenal. But again, the music was just kind of like there. Music was just kind of there, you know. No, I mean, I'd have to go back. I've only watched it through once. I'd have to go back and watch it again to see if I could pick out. But no music stood out. I mean, I'll just say that on first pass, Castlevania music sticks out. Like if I heard hints of a melody in there. Like, there were a couple tracks where I felt like they were towing hints of a melody, but nothing like concrete. Nothing like Bloody Tears in Season 2, right? Nothing like that. Nothing at all like that. So, the music is still very much just kind of there, you know? But it's Castlevania. On the music, you gotta bring it. On the music, and you gotta bring it on the art. They brought it on the art. They brought it on the art all day. That show was beautiful, you all. From start to finish, from episode 1 to the end of episode 32. That series is beautiful, and the animation looks good. The animation, the artwork are very fun. I really enjoy the work that the artists and the animators and the conceptual people and everybody put into the visual look of the show. Stunning. It's stunning. The music, I wish, was up to the level of Castlevania music. I think at the end of the day, that's what kind of keeps me from being like, oh, this is the penultimate anime Castlevania experience. You know, if there ever was going to be one, this is it. I feel like the music keeps me from saying, yes, this is it. This is it. If you get what I'm saying. You know, Castlevania Netflix, it's a mixed bag for me. I really enjoy it. I still think it's good. It's good. Season 3 is very good. But the rest of the show is good. But I'm a huge Castlevania fan, and I was really hoping that it would be amazing. You know? And I don't want to sound ungrateful. I am very grateful to everybody who put this together, to the team who made it. And I think part of it too is just why I'm such a big Castlevania fan. Have been since I was a little bitty kid. When I first started playing Nintendo. This after season 1, I had really high hopes for what they could do with the story and the characters and the direction. And I'm not sour. I think it's good. Like I said, I think it's good. I just don't know how to feel about it after it's all said and done. And not because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. That's not it. I want the storytellers to tell their story. I take me on a ride. I've said that many times. Just take me on a ride. Tell me a story. Tell me your story. That's fine. But some of the decisions I thought were kind of like, I go, what? You know, especially there toward the end. But, you know, I think the whole series as a whole is about an 8 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. I thought season 3 for me, I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. That season 3 was incredible. But if I'm judging all 32 episodes as one thing, which it kind of is, one long story, it's one continuous story, I give about 8 out of 10. I think that's a fair grade. And really what brings it down for me is the music. The music, at no point except for like when they got into doing Bloody Tears in the storming of the castle in season 2, at no other point did the music make me go, oh, here we go, because you are adapting a video game. A legendary video game franchise with some of the greatest music in all of gaming, second to probably only Final Fantasy. I'm sorry, you got to bring it. You got to bring it in that respect. So, respect to everybody involved with this. Arguably, the greatest video game adaptation ever made. I say arguably just because I feel like there were probably some places where they could have been more video game accurate and it wouldn't have taken away from the story. Like, leaving out Grant, I'm sorry. You can't say it's the greatest video game adaptation ever made when you leave out 1/4 of your cast of the game, of your heroes. You leave out 1/4 of your heroes. And it's a fan favorite. It's not like we're talking some random 8th, 9th character from Suikoden or something like that. This was Grant from Castlevania 3. The first guy you can morph into. I'm sorry. You know, it's 8 out of 10. It's 8 out of 10. If they had Grant in there, this is probably a 9.5 for me, but I feel like there's a lot of story stuff you could have done. They even had pirates in season, what was it? Season 3? They had the pirate and the ship and everything in season 3. No Grant. You had a village named after him in season 4. No Grant. Everybody's talking and cussing like pirates. Well, you had a pirate. You didn't use him. So no. 8 out of 10. So I hope you all liked that review. If you agree, if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of Castlevania as a series, as a whole, and season 4, what you all thought about that. As always, I'll be back later on with some more content. We're going to do some live streaming tonight. And follow me over here, right there, there it is, at Kaufman20XX on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video, and click the bell so you know when I got stuff going live. You all have a great night. Be safe out there, be good to each other, and keep rocking. I will see you all very soon.